Ihr lasst nicht mehr viel. Wagen liebe von Adonai zu Rivergirli, may the words of my mouth and the thoughts of my heart be acceptable before you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. A system without a hard boundary will collapse under pressure. The text establishes the absolute law of boundary control. Shoftim v'shotrim titen lecha b'chol she'arecha. Judges and officers you shall appoint for yourself in all your gates. This is not a metaphor for ethical behavior. It is a strict psychological command. You must guard the gates of your mind. If you leave every entry point open, chaos floods the system. The mind requires a strict filter. You cannot survive a flood by trying to swim faster. You survive by sealing the door. Think about that. We must examine the core mechanics of this structural failure. When a mind absorbs unvetted external pressure without a filter, the system breaks. The ancient texts define this specific collapse as Shvirat HaKelim. Shvirat HaKelim, shattering of the vessels. It happens when the volume of demands exceeds the strength of the psychological container. The human mind is not designed to process unlimited variables at once. When you remove the judges from your mental gates, anxiety rushes inside. The structure shatters under the weight. The internal focus breaks into isolated pieces of panic. You lose the ability to hold a single, steady thought. The system fails without resistance. The cost of this failure destroys your daily mental stability. Standard advice tells you to manage your time better or try harder. This is absolute nonsense. You cannot schedule your way out of a breached psychological wall. When the barrier fails, every random thought becomes an emergency. You sit down to work, but your brain is running 10 different panic simulations. This is the reality of an unguarded mind. You bleed focus before you even start the task. You're attempting to process the entire world without a filter. This results in a sheer mental exhaustion. The prophetic cure demands a ruthless separation from the noise. We find a structural override in the book of Isaiah. Suru suru tzu mishom, tome altigo. Depart, depart. Go out from there, touch no unclean things. Go out from the midst of it. This is the mandate of strict psychological distance. You must step away from the chaotic demands to protect your internal vessels. It requires a hard departure from the constant mental chatter. You separate yourself to regain your strengths back. This departure creates an immediate shield against hostile mental extraction. The text provides the precise mechanism for this defense. We define the psychological boundary as chashmal. Chashmal, the insulating buffer. The insulating buffer. It blocks the noise. It stops the flood. Focus remains intact. When panic tries to breach your focus, this buffer absorbs the shock. The prophetic command to depart means activating this rigid mental barrier. You reject the chaotic variables by force before they enter your system. Your mind regains clarity. The pressure cannot penetrate the buffer. You execute this boundary inside your own head. Tomorrow morning, external panic will attempt to breach your internal focus. The instant you catch yourself formulating an excuse, you halt the thought cycle. You do not negotiate with the rising anxiety. You enforce the hard mental stop. The buffer activates the moment you refuse to entertain the chaotic variable. You lock the gate and cut the internal dialogue at the root. The mental bleeding stops because the gate is sealed. Your core focus recovers. This requires a direct internal declaration to hold the line. You must align your frequency with the law of the buffer. First, you state the rule. I will not allow random panic to dictate my focus. I will not allow random panic to dictate my focus. Second, you make the commitment. I will hold a strict limit and protect my core vessels. I will hold a strict limit and protect my core vessels. This is a cold, calculated decision to preserve your psychological strength. You choose to act as the unyielding judge at your own gate. Maintaining this ritual mental wall is a brutal task. I know the exact excuse we are forming right now. You think that ignoring urgent demands is dangerous or irresponsible. You believe that engaging with every single crisis makes you safe. That is a false assumption built on fear. Engaging with every chaotic variable is the exact action that shatters your mind. True safety comes from holding a strict boundary, not from endless reaction. When you hold a limit, you gain absolute control over the situation. You apply this prophetic shield by holding your mind steady. This is not about complex hacks or self-help routines. It is the raw practice of standing firm when the pressure spikes. You refuse to let the noise cross the mental threshold. The moment anxiety pushes forward, you lock the gate. You trust the buffer to absorb the impact while you remain still. This discipline builds an unshakable core strength over time. You stop reacting to the world and start directing your own focus. We must unite the text and the prophetic cure. The command to set judges at your gates is the baseline law. The prophetic mandate to depart from the chaos is the daily execution. Together, they form an unbreakable system of psychological defense. You prevent the shattering of your own internal vessels by maintaining the strict buffer. The noise. It will always exist. It does not go away. But it no longer has an access to your core. You survive the flood by sealing the doors and standing firm. Lock this structure into your mind. Thank you very much for listening. I truly appreciate it. I wish you and everyone around you lots of strength to guard your gate. Because we only have one mind, and we need to make sure that it stays firmly locked, and to only let thoughts in that we allow it. All the very best, and thank you once again.